The Honor Play has just been announced at a price point that possibly makes it the most value for money smartphone introduced this year. Almost all aspects of the smartphone are great and we have covered it in depth in our review. But how do the cameras fare against the current crop of smartphones? This is Sandeep from RevAtlas. Let's find out how it fares. The Honor Play has dual cameras at the back. The primary unit is a 16 megapixel f2 camera and there's a secondary 2 megapixel depth sensor alongside it. Images on the Honor Play have quite natural colors and good white balance. The detailing is pretty good too and so is the sharpness. However, when it comes to details on leaves and foliage, it seems like there is some watercolor effect happening. It's not evident zoomed out, but pixel peeping does show it. The dynamic range is average at best and the smartphone tends to blow out the highlights. There's an HDR mode on board, but it doesn't do much in aiding or improving the dynamic range per se. There's a slight difference, but is not really helpful. The AI mode is actually pretty good at recognizing the scenes and applying effects accordingly. For example, people in the frame would automatically trigger portrait mode and apply a blur as well as other effects to enhance the skin tone. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, and in some situations, especially when there's a lot of greenery around, the AI does go a bit over the top, but the good thing is that you can even disable AI enhancement after the photo has been shot from the gallery, since it's just processing applied to the photo that changes. It's kind of like shooting in RAW and choosing whether to have a fixed processing on all photos or letting the phone choose what sort of processing is needed. This is extremely useful for the average user who doesn't know too much about camera settings. But for those who do, the Pro mode offers RAW capture, which you can use to tweak images exactly the way you like it. Images shot under low light are also pretty good and don't have too much noise, but at times the noise reduction leads to a drop in the details and sharpness. Not too much but still visible, and an ideal way to get the best out of low light or night photography is to use the Pro mode and capture RAW photos. Just like other Honor and Huawei devices, you get a portrait mode as well as an aperture mode. The portrait mode has a beauty function as well as a blurring or bokeh effect that you can apply, but is quite subtle. For a more pronounced effect, you're better off using the aperture mode, which also allows you to change the focus after capturing the image and even adjusting the blur to mimic a variable aperture lens. Around f2.8 to f4 is a fine point, but you can go crazy by choosing anything from f.95 all the way down to f16. You get good sharpness on the point in focus and edge detection is also on point. I wouldn't have expected that from just a 2 megapixel depth sensor. The front-facing camera is a 16 megapixel f2 unit. The images have good detailing and sharpness, albeit with a tad bit poor dynamic range. This is evident in the highlights. There's no HDR mode unfortunately, but there is a rather good portrait mode which has on-point edge detection and a good blurring algorithm. It performs fairly well under low light too, where there is a drop in sharpness due to noise reduction, but still gives very usable images. Videos are one thing that's generally disappointing on Honor devices due to lack of EIS. Luckily, the Honor Play has EIS out of the box and supports stabilization up to 1080p. You can choose between 1080p 16:9 or 1080p 18.7:9 and both support EIS. There's a 4K 30fps mode as well with better detailing and sharpness, but the lack of stabilization makes it seem less refined. Bitrate is on the lower side for both 1080p and 4K videos, which makes it seem a bit mushy compared to other videos from competing smartphones. The videos also seem to have boosted saturation, which we don't prefer. It's good to see that Honor is making changes and trying to improve their video game. Both bitrate and saturation are stuff that can be fixed with updates, and considering how Honor did add EIS to the View 10 due to customer demand, hopefully they make changes to these too. So this is the front-facing camera on the Honor Play capturing 1080p 30fps video, and there is stabilization involved. There's EIS on board that actually makes it really good in terms of the overall stability and even refines the look to a certain extent. So let me know what you guys think about the sharpness, the stability, the dynamic range, and how well it's even capturing my voice in this particular environment. Overall, the Honor Play is a decent smartphone. The videos are nice and smooth, has a very good front-facing camera, and the portrait mode works well. However, the inferior dynamic range, weak HDR mode and low bitrate makes it subpar compared to some of the other offerings on the market. However, the Honor Play is more about what else it packs, and you can check out a review for the same. It's not really a camera phone first and then a smartphone, but a smartphone first and then a camera phone. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next one.